are outside in an 80+ degree New England evening. My husband is bringing a fan out to blow the bugs. The fan may be loud. Please tell me if it is, and I will modify my approach. However, I really like this. I think it's going to be good. For those of you who, I don't think there's anybody who's new to Story. I'm looking at the attendee list. I'm going to change my view here so I can see your beautiful faces. We've got Marie in the house. Hi, Marie. Your son's amazing. He's totally caring for me. Can you hear me okay? Is that too loud? It's fine? Great news. Okay, excellent news. Marion, welcome. Sandra, welcome. Anna Marie, I was excited to see you sign up at the last minute. Leslie, hi. Leslie's so awesome. So for those of you who may not know, Leslie is so kind as to be my right-hand wing woman here for the evening. She is going to help out if anything goes awry. There was one time back in the day where my computer, a Japanese beetle, where my computer just decided it was done. It was plugged in, it was full battery. There seemed to be no issues, but it just turned itself off and went to sleepy time. So I then scrambled and freaked out, but Leslie kept the whole Story event running perfectly without a hitch. She even managed to keep the recording going, which was amazing. So that's Leslie with her long, luxurious locks.
Hey Ma, can you make me a excuse me, Can you make me an admin?
Yeah, let's do that.
Thank you.
Make
Hi everyone.
Hi Leslie.
Okay, cool. I'm so excited. We have, I'm gonna wait till these folks jump on here. We've got my lovely husband, Chris Connolly. We have Maureen. Hi, Maureen. Hi, Boog. Chris Connolly is looking very mysterious as he wanders the grounds in the moonlight.
Aaron Decker. Oh my God.
Yeah, Aaron Decker's here? What? This is fantastic.
Wow.
Very, very exciting. One of the things I always say at the beginning is how much I love all these different people from all different parts of my life. Friends of friends of friends who become friends, and the web keeps growing and the connection keeps deepening. And every time we get together, there's always just this little tickle moment that I have where I get to see a little face like Erin or Claire, who has returned from a journey and I haven't seen her in forever. There's someone in the corner. Who are you? You are wearing an apron and it's super cute. And yes, you. Yes. Hi, Maureen. Hi. Okay, cool. For some reason, your name wasn't showing up on the screen, but I'm excited to see you. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, let's see who else is coming in. Dun, 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 dun. Nancy's here. Laura's here. Noelle, hi. Yay. Awesome. So we usually spend the first few minutes, for those of you who are new, just saying hi and allowing everybody a moment to get themselves situated, grab a beverage or a snack, or adjust your sound, or find a fun backdrop, or play with the tools. Chris will usually take this opportunity to get the cat involved somehow. I hear him. Maybe he's feeding the cat. I'm not sure. And then, you know, this is a weird week because it's a holiday week, and it's been a weird holiday because we're challenging our assumptions about just mindlessly going along with what holidays are. And so I expect this to be a more intimate than usual. And now, as you know, we're doing this twice a week. So that allows us the opportunity to hear more stories, see more faces, and for us to pop in.
A mosquito in the house? Oh
There's a mosquito in the house. Chris Connolly does not know that he is unmuted. Let's see what else he says. Perhaps there'll be some incriminating, no, I can see him through the window. He's like, stop. Okay. He's looking very cute. All right, so it is Thursday, the 9th. This is Story at Home. A few months ago, some things happened in the world, couldn't get together in person. And so the thing we'd been doing at Verve Wellness, which is where we'd been meeting for several years, we couldn't do it in person anymore. I got shipped off to the East Coast, and that's where I'm reporting from this evening. We started doing this online, and we weren't really sure if it would be successful, if people would want it. but almost 100 people showed up the first time we did it. And every week since then, we've had 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 people. And it just is spreading because now people that don't live in San Francisco can actually come join us and be part of this awesome community that we're creating. So it delights the heck out of me. I just saw someone else join. Who was it? Hold on. Aaron, Boog, Bart, Angie Majumdar. Okay, she's not on yet, but she's joining in a moment, and I'm gonna give her a shout out when she comes on. So this is another example. Angie Majumdar, welcome. So excited to see your name in the list. We have about 20 people. Hi, Angie. We got 20 people on the call tonight. As I was mentioning earlier, it's a little bit of a teen-year crew. The reason we started this was not just to share stories, but to connect. And that's really the reason that we're here together. So the name Connect with Story is to remind us that we are here in service of connection, that stories are the way that we have been connecting and continue to connect, and keeping this form of community and gathering alive is so important. I would like to give a shout out to Saul, who is Nancy's dog. And he would like you to see his beautiful profile and his sweet face. Okay, if anyone has animals, I would also encourage you to try to get them in at some point for some kind of cameo appearance. I am delighted by those types of things. Okay, we tonight are going to talk a little bit, usually until about 9:15. I'll talk on the topics that have been percolating for me since we last met, to give people a chance to get settled and to set the stage for what this is. I'm going to put in the chat here. I'm going to actually orient you guys to the different elements of the Zoom room that we're going to be using tonight. I just posted a link to the story blog. In there, you'll find things that help you orient to how we do what we do, this concept of reflections that are going to happen tonight. Not only do we have people who are going to be sharing their story, but I have witnessed over the years that story doesn't just happen in the words that someone speaks or the plan they have to share the chronological events of a meaningful happening or circumstance in their lives. Stories happen in the space between people. It's the telling of the story. It's the way someone shows up fully, authentically, and really, and stands in front of someone and is heard. And it's in the being vulnerable enough to speak and in the holding of the space. In that dynamic is where a story is created. So what we do is we have reflections. So someone will share a story. We have a 5-minute limit. We ask that story sharers be respectful and fully inhabit that 5 minutes and take that space and live it and love it and bring it during that 5 minutes, but that they hold to the 5-minute limit and time themselves. So I won't be cutting anyone off unless things get super crazy. Then maybe I will. I haven't had to do it on the virtual screen yet. So 5 minutes story. Then there's a little thing on the bottom of your screen that says participants. And there's 2 little bodies and then there's a number. Cool, you found it? If you click on it on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a list of all the participants in the room. And there's a little area below the names that says yes, no, go slower, go faster. Don't use the go slower or faster because I don't like to be told what to do. But you could use a yes or no. Actually, just use the yes. If you want to share a reflection, I'm all over the place. If you want to share a reflection, just click the little yes check mark and I'll scroll down the list and I'll call your name and you can share how the story has touched you. If you have any thoughts, one of the nice frameworks you could use is when you said blah, I felt blah. Or I love the way you used language, or the tone of that story totally resonated because blippity bloppity blue. That type of thing. It's not a time for critique or suggestions, but it's definitely a time to help the story sharer understand how they've impacted you and how their story has touched you. And I'll take 2 or 3 depending on how long they are for each person who shares. Back to the topic of connection. Where do I begin with this one? I created story because I was craving this type of connection in my life. I know in my bones that I am my best when I am celebrated. I show up beautifully when someone sees my beauty. When I'm striving for perfection, I become a smaller, thinner, harder version of myself that is striving for something that is not about my authentic gifts or my big, large-hearted self. And so over the last decade or so, it became more and more clear to me that we didn't need more Toastmasters. We didn't need more events where you were striving to reach a standard. There's so many great ways for people to become better storytellers and hone the specific elements of language and verse and presentation style and diction. And that is not my current desire to, that's not what this is. I want messy. I want raw. I want you to show up fully inhabiting the wonderful messiness that is you. And this is a messy time. There are so many ways where us striving for perfection just don't work anymore. What is perfection? There's a quote that I read recently about perfectionism actually being one of the most insidious manifestations of white supremacy, that we're striving for this ideal of what goodness and rightness is. And fuck that. So tonight, I would like you to fully inhabit the raw, real, beautiful you. If you're a story sharer, if you're a reflector, we're also going to do a little bit of a breakout rooms. So we have the capacity or the capability with Zoom to be able to pair people up at one-on-one. And so we have only 3 story sharers tonight. So I'm going to offer a couple of things. Number 1, you may have seen my email earlier that said, hey, does anybody want to play with a format that we've played with in the past? And that is the 6-minute story. So if you go to that blog, you can see the first post in that list is about a 6-minute story. And basically what they are an opportunity to encapsulate, oh, sorry, it's not 6 minutes, 6 word. I love Chris is coaching me from the sidelines. Thank you, man. A 6-word story. So the idea is that you could encapsulate either your history, your mission, your vision, an ode to someone in 6 words. And so I thought in that post, there are some examples that I think are apropos. Why is my internet's being really weird. Here's one from Stephen Colbert. His 6 words are, well, I thought it was funny. Amy Mann, the singer, her 6 words are, couldn't cope, so I wrote songs. Mine that I wrote tonight, to give you a little example of what it could look like. About story, I wrote, deeply desiring connection, I made this. And then about my life in general right now, I wrote, patterns unfold, no time for silence. So I'll let those percolate as we listen to the story sharers. If you get inspired to maybe jot down or scratch down a 6-word story, do so. We'll come back to that a little bit later on after our story sharers have shared. And there's the ability to use the chat, and we will be using this tonight. You'll notice on the bottom of the screen as well, click on chat and you'll see I've put in a couple of links there. Feel free to use it to communicate with the whole group, with each other. Sometimes you don't really want to verbalize a reflection, but you want people to know that you're really into what they're sharing. So put it there, yeah. And as I always do, I look at the time and it's always about 9:15 that I'm done with my rant and we move on to sharing some stories. And we're going to start tonight with Clare. Clare is amazing. She's a sound healer. She's a vocal artist. The voice work she does is also in service of helping others find their voice. So I think it's perfectly apropos that she should kick us off in the spirit of finding your authentic voice. Clare, we're excited to hear yours. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you all. I asked for a story to come yesterday, and it did on a walk, and then I wrote it down this afternoon, so it's still breathing. So here it is. Once upon a time, there was a little girl. She was rather a unique little girl that people sometimes forgot to notice. This particular girl felt that she knew something that mattered, that she was meant to tell people, lots of people, and it lived deep, deep, deep in her belly. She knew that her one job in her little life was to communicate all the way through till it became a big life, until the end of her life. The thing was, she wasn't entirely sure how to deliver what she knew. It was a message. It was a message that had a rather unique feature, and that unique feature was the fact that it would change depending on who she was talking to. How she knew that it was the right message was that when she shared it, she felt fully alive and so free. Her eyes would widen, her heart would beat fast, and out would come the message. It made people stop in their tracks, even if they weren't sure why. What was the message? And where did the message live? Deep, deep, deep in her belly was a cavern, and in that cavern lived a very large monster who loved to come out and play with people who needed the oxygen of connection. He had to crawl up in order to reach the outside world, and he couldn't always make it. But why not? Sometimes he'd get as far as her throat, and then he'd just slide back down again. He just wouldn't come out, couldn't come out. But why not? Was he shy? She'd feel him moving, making his way from deep in the cavern, deep, 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 deeply buried inside her. Her face would flush as she felt the rumbling begin as the monster began to pull its way up the sides of his cavern, arrive at her throat, and then slide down again, becoming smaller as he went down and bigger each time he tried to come back up. Now the thing was, she knew what it would take for this deep rumbling monster to make it out into the world, but it was something that the grown-ups seemed ill-prepared to permit. And that was the silence. This little girl had a beautiful relationship with silence. Having been largely ignored for many of her young years, silence had kept her company. Her imagination could play with it. They went walking together, they slept together, they dreamed together, they wondered together. She wanted to share this friend with others, but the friend needed a certain kind of attention in order to want to be shared, and so there it was, the struggle. Sometimes there was even another voice within that very particular kind of tone, a rather nasty tone, and was quite insistent to tell her over and over that she really didn't have anything of importance to share. Not important enough to stop the adults from their very important talking. But she knew otherwise, for it must be said, she was not stupid. She knew very well that her monster mattered. And as much as the grown-ups around her had lost touch with the monsters that lived inside of their own caverns, hers was very much alive, and he needed company. Tired of waiting, one day her monster made it all the way to her lips and shouted out at the most unexpected moment, "Attention! Attention! My friends that live inside of you want to play. Let them come out to play." And the little girl added, "My silence needs you. Will you sit and wait with me? I have something I want to share with you, but I don't really know what it is until it arrives. And it can't arrive while you're still talking. Could we sit together and wait a while?" Their monsters understood and made them all sit. And they sat, and they sat, and they sat. As her monster crawled out of the cavern, up the sides of the deep well, into the space where it was no longer safe, she knew that she was. Others started to open their mouths too, but only when their monsters were really ready to speak. And the silence filled the room with wisdom, punctuated by the sound of monsters playing happily together in the shadows.
Thank you, Claire. That's another thing for those of you who haven't been here often or recently. We move our hands so people can see what they can't hear. We're tickling you, Claire.
Tickling! And that's called The Monsters Speak. I forgot to tell you the title.
The monsters speak. Oh, so sweet. I see some reflections. Nancy says, I know that monster. Anna Marie says, he makes my face red too. And Andrea, knew something that mattered. Message, cavern monster, silent struggle, attention. We want to play. Yes. This idea that while they're talking, my monster can't figure out what it has to say. All right, I'm going to go to the participant window. And if you are interested in offering a verbal reflection for Claire's beautiful tale, you can use that little check mark like Olga just did. All right, Olga, you can unmute yourself.
Oh, Claire, the magical adventure just really makes my heart frolic with that little girl and me, and your whole craft of language with magic, just beautifully done all around. Thank you. Thank you.
The craft of language with magic. Very, very true. I love to watch people's facial expressions. It's one of my favorite things is to page through and watch other people listening to people share, and the nodding and the smiling and the facial expressions. That was one of the things I was worried about bringing this out of a physical space and into an online venue, is that I wouldn't really get that visceral embodied feeling. But Claire, during your story, it was wonderful to watch. It was like the child in us lit up on our faces as we were listening to you. And it was sweet, very sweet. All right, Claire, thank you again.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Molly.
My pleasure. I always love having you and hearing you. All right. So speaking of tales and the craft of language, we have Olga, and some of you may have been here last time Olga shared. She shared a tale of the willow and the rock. Yes. So exciting, because tonight we are going to go deeper. We're going to go deeper and deeper into this relationship, this affair between the willow and the rock. Bring it, Olga.
There's a new secret lover that will be making an appearance tonight. For those of you who heard about The Rock before, there is a new character on the block, and this is a sensuous tale, so I invite you to listen with your eyes open or closed, whatever feels most pleasurable to you. And off we go into the land where once upon a time, a willow tree stood at the top of the hill, and she was beautiful in every way, except that she couldn't see herself that way. She carried a burden deep in her roots that made her blind to herself. So she was sad a lot of the times, and her forest friends said, "Girl, it's summertime, and you better get yourself a boyfriend and have some fun." So Miss Willow put on her lipstick and called up to the grandfather sky, "Grandfather, give me a boyfriend." And that next night, a mystery lover arrived. It was the night breeze himself. He came swooping over the hills across the treetops. And the willow trembled, and her long, slender leaves fell off the branches spiraling down, down to the ground. And the night breeze danced around, never touching the willow herself, because he knew that this willow was part tree, part woman, as he danced around her. He unwound her wrapped around branches, and he peeled away the hardened bark until slowly, eventually, there was on the ground a soft, naked woman with olive skin. She laid there, her belly breathing, and the soft moisture of the breeze began to kiss her face, her neck, her belly, her legs. And this woman sighed, an exhale of relief, and it felt so good, her hands and her feet unwinding, touching the earth, as the earth, black, moist earth herself, began to lick her fingers and her toes, and the willow woman sighed a sigh of relief, and it felt so good. She was emptying out of herself. The burdens that laid so heavily began to slip away, and the breeze lover began to kiss her faster, and she was swirling with sensations, and she couldn't tell where was the difference between where she began her skin and the breeze and the earth, until it felt like it was her own hands touching herself and her own mouth licking itself, and it was so alive. She cried. She cried as if it was her own self holding the sweet, sweet girl that she had forgotten, her body trembling. And it felt good. It was as if she was the beloved and the lover. It was like she was home. And in the morning, when the sun rose, this woman was a willow tree again, standing on the top of the hill, looking around and wondering, was this all a dream? Was there ever a night breeze lover? But when she looked down, she realized it didn't really matter, because down at her root once the burdens laid so heavy, now grew a single flower, a rosebud, a bud of her own understanding for herself, a flowering of her own love for herself. And it was good. And her forest friends threw her a love day party. And that summer was a happy one for the willow woman on the top of the tree, on the top of the hill. And so it is.
Oh, we get 2 Once Upon a Time stories. It doesn't happen very often. And maybe this might be the first time that we get 2 Once Upon a Time stories in one night. Delightful, delightful. Oh, Olga, the pictures you paint. Yeah. I have the soft moisture of the breeze began to kiss her. Those moments where you just take us and it becomes this visceral experience. And I'm sitting here outside and it's a very humid night and I suddenly become that willow and all of the potential embodiment. It's almost like I can feel it inside me through your telling of the story. Andrea has a beautiful reflection. Night breeze love, willow trembled and leaves falling, dancing, not touching, unwound, peeled away, on the ground, soft, naked woman, sighed relief, swirling, loving herself, beloved and lover, home, and it was good. Andrea, I feel like I should call you to read it. Your voice is so beautiful as well. Does anybody want to give a verbal reflection? I see Sandra. Yeah, hi. Oh, I think we're playing the muting game. I'm sorry. That's my fault. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Olga, you just carry me away. You provide such amazing escape, and yet it is so much more than escape. I was absolutely lost in your story. And the gem of it, of course, was that she was the beloved and the lover. And that is so meaningful to so many women. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I was preparing for tonight, and I too, like Claire, went for a walk in the woods, listening what story wants to be told. And I always ask myself, what would I like you to experience? What would I like your heart to feel? And that's sort of like the ending is my go-to. And I wanted the beloved and the lover within is the feeling that I wanted you to experience. And I didn't know what story would come to deliver that. And then the willow and the breeze came.
Whew. The night breeze is delivering me. Can you see these little friends? They are Japanese beetles, and they are congregating here on the notes that I'm taking. So just so you know, the night breeze is giving me gifts as well. Anybody else with a reflection for Olga? All right. I feel like Boog is maybe just moving her hand to wipe her eye. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. All right, we're gonna transition to Bart. Bart, welcome. And Bart, is this your third story that you've shared?
Second, only my second.
Okay. I dreamed of another story you shared. And Bart takes gorgeous pictures that I always swoon over on Instagram. And I found that he also writes stories on Facebook and maybe Instagram too, but I found them on Facebook. And I got so excited that I asked him, I said, would you mind sharing one of these with us? And so here he is. Take it away, Bart.
Thanks. Yes, this is a Facebook story. So this is a true story. On stop. All right, so a few months before my wife and I were married, my soon-to-be father-in-law's dogs had an accident, call it. And when the puppies were a couple of months old, we drove down to San Diego to pick one out. There were 4 in the litter. And when my fiance first walked up to their pen, 3 of them, they jumped up and they were climbing all over each other just to get close to her. But the 4th one, he was the runt in the litter. He just sat there in the back of the kennel calmly. And when my soon-to-be wife brought her hand a little closer to him, he just sniffed it, gave it a little lick. And obviously that was our dog, Disco. And he was a really good dog for many years. He was the 3rd member of our family after we got married, my wife and I. He was quiet, he was very calm, but occasionally he would let his wild animal out, exploding in a playful fury of fur and teeth. And then he would latch onto a toy and just lay there with his paws and mouth on it, and then stare at me sometimes with his giant dark eyes. Playfulness, and then stillness. That was Disco. And then in May of 2018, Disco was diagnosed with lymphoma, which is a cancer that has no cure. He was given his first chemotherapy treatment on my birthday, and I came home from that first oncology appointment with a binder full of instructions, bottles of prescriptions, but also some hope. We kept meticulous notes, eventually just keeping it in a spreadsheet about what supplements did he get today, how was his appetite, his energy, his bodily functions. And I ended up feeling like I was tracking the passage of time with this checklist of pills, vet appointments, and what drug was he on again this week? Most days were good, pretty normal. There was a day he woke up and he drooled all day and he wouldn't eat. And another day, it hurt for him to open his mouth and he could only lick at watered down food and we'd feed him by hand. One of his pills caused him to lose control of his bowels and he'd leave little surprises randomly around the apartment. But that was only his body. He was always the same happy, loving dog that he'd always been. But the cancer never really went away and there was so much uncertainty. Are the supplements working? Are they helping? Is the chemo doing anything? Why isn't anything working? And it took a heavy toll on our finances, our health, and eventually our marriage. And on my following birthday, a year later, Disco was at the vet again. And at the end of that month, his lymph nodes had swelled up again, and we tried the last treatment that had been known to work, and this time it didn't. So we had exhausted all of our options. So Disco's final day had been on my mind ever since that first oncology appointment. I tried to imagine what it would be like. What would I do? How would I react in that moment? But in the end, it was nothing like I imagined. The vet came in, he explained what was going to happen, what he was going to do, and then he left the room to give my wife and I one last moment with him. His breathing was shallow and loud, like he was snoring. And then the vet came back in and the rest was a blur, punctuated by some very clear details that I'll spare you from describing. But also, I'm not sure I could explain what happened if I wanted to. One moment, Disco was there, and then the next, stillness. Where had he gone? One night, many years before, I was on a cliff overlooking the ocean. I watched the waves rise up, build momentum, and crash against the rocks in an explosion of water and foam. And then it faded away, the whitewash becoming black water. The wave was gone. Where did it go? I imagined a crack running through the water, branching and spreading like a lightning bolt through the earth, through everything. The energy of the wave draining into it, leaving behind only calm water, stillness. Is that where Disco went? Into that crack that runs through everything? The crack that we'll all go into someday? I can see him there, standing on a cliff overlooking the waves, tail wagging, his eyes full of black lightning, waiting for me.
Thank you, Mark.
A little turn from the other stories.
But also the clarity of how I can feel that in my body. The tapping into that longing, the love, the joy, the friendship, and the loss and the grief and the beauty that is all tangled up together in life. So thank you. I usually make everyone take a deep breath, and I think this feels like a good time for that. Arms up, breathe it in. Anna Marie, you got something to say?
Yeah, I felt like he was the embodiment of Claire's monster. silence, right? He was stillness with the burst of the monster. And then at the end, he was the embodiment of Olga's tree, the transformation. It was perfect. All three of them, they all spoke together.
So well said, Anna Marie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is one of the other things about this event that I love so much is how there's no theme. One of the things about this event for me, and the reason I created it, was that I was tired of my own perfectionism and having to prepare and plan and control. And I just said, what happens if you bring a bunch of good people together and they all use their voices and the focus is on connection? Do you need to give people themes? And every time some kind of theme or interconnection just weaves itself. I don't have to do anything. I just show up and it all just happens. And Nancy Oswald has seen that time and time again. And I think she might have a little reflection for us.
Thank you, Bart. That was just a deep story, and the fact that you shared Disco's beginning in your life as well as his end made me appreciate that both the love that you had for Disco and also the knowledge that that the thing about loving something that's alive is that something that's alive can die, and what a hole that is, and we try to make meaning out of that hole, and that's what you did. Is you made a place, a crack, not a hole, but a crack, where he went, and maybe that's where we go. So thank you for that. Thank you for your vulnerability and sharing that.
Thank you.
Claire calls out his eyes full of black lightning. And Andrea, do you want to bring sound to your words? I know. She's like, I can't unmute. What's going on? I don't want to put you on the spot. I just thought it would be. So much love and honoring of a beloved one, Andrea says. One moment, next, stillness, the crack we will all go into one day, waiting for me. Bug says, captivating, visceral, sad, deep. Thanks. Katie Burke loves the name Disco. Sweet dog. And yeah, Bug, you're right. No theme is specified, but one always emerges. That's for sure. That is for sure. Sweetness. All right. I have a surprise. I don't have a surprise. Aiden has a surprise. She's going to share something with us. What do you think of that? Totally impromptu, leaping in to the fray. Aiden Kinsella, who, just so everyone knows, if you don't, she and her partner, Marisol, they own the wellness studio where Story, when it was not virtual, when it was in the real world, we would gather every month. So Verve Wellness, Aiden comes to us now virtually. Take it away, Aiden.
I'm going to read two short pieces that I wrote. They're little. The first one is called Unassailable Self. To trust oneself is a grand rebellion. But first you must discover how you know who you are. And for most, that begins with how you know who you are not. All learning is unlearning. The stronghold of self, built brick by brick to shield you from pain, is fragile and fickle. The subtle substance of the soul is unassailable, and no armor can embrace it. Only that which causes you to quake and stir in that essential place can show you who you are. It's up to you to tend the trail that leads you there. There is no need to arrange the puzzle of the world to find where you fit. A deep study of your own curves and edges, your markings and your colors, is the way to find more of yourself reflected outside of you. Nothing about your design is random or made for isolation. And there is no need to jam together that which does not hug you close and pick you up where you left off, extending the story of you beyond your borders. And the second one, I'm calling sandcastles. I don't know which is harder, knowing or not knowing. Life is like building sandcastles at the edge of the water, scooping, patting, shaping.
I think we may have a freeze on Aiden's end. Can I see you all moving?
No worries.
Have I lost you all? Or have we lost Aiden? No, you're here. Your heads are moving.
We're here.
Okay.
We're here.
Awesome. Thank you. Good. That was just a dramatic pause for effect in the middle of Aiden's story. Oh, all right. So let's do this. I think Aiden is probably trying to reconnect. So we will thank her virtually and maybe in the chat for her beautiful words. Oh, I see her. She's moving again. She's back.
Hi.
Hi. Will you start sandcastles again? Thank you.
What was amazing is that everything froze except your voice came through. It was like, I think. Okay. Sandcastles. I don't know which is harder, knowing or not knowing. Life is like building sandcastles at the edge of the water, scooping, patting, shaping, and never knowing if this will be the wave that smooths your edges or returns you to the sea. Children know how to dance and delight in that unpredictability, running and squealing and endlessly turning back for more. Joy sparkling in their eyes with the sunlight off the waves, wheeling in wide circles with the gulls and watching their footprints disappear with the day over the horizon. I want to be so still so I can feel every pull, swell, and whisper, each pulse unbearably full and then gone, all ache and longing and wonder in the wake.
All ache and longing and wonder in the wake. Woo! All ache and longing and wonder in the wake. It has its own syncopation. It just like it desires to be sung.
Oh wait, maybe you'll sing it. I'll send it to you.
Okay. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. We have some really sweet reflections here and quotes in the chat. Andrea has to leave. I'm very sad. She left us with 6 words though. So we'll pick those up at the end. Claire says to trust oneself is a grand rebellion. Know who you are not. I pulled a few things that spoke to me. It's up to you to tend the trail that leads you there, a deep study of your curves and edges. Nothing about your design is random or made for isolation. That really resonated. Sandra says, your markings and your colors, yes. Andrea, oh, that's her 6-word thing. I'm gonna copy that and bring it back later. Laura had to jump out. I love that people are putting their 6 words right in here. Claire, again, a reflection. Building sandcastles at the edge of the water. Longing and wonder in the wake. Oh, guys, this is such an interesting evening for me. Aiden, thank you for jumping in and covering for a story sharer that could not make it this evening. Aiden has been writing prolifically and expansively and beautifully, and I just can't get enough of her writing, so I decided to entice her to come in at the end. Thank you. So we talked about 6-word stories. I shared a few of them. Some of you have come on since then. If you scroll up in the chat, you will see there is a link to some examples of 6-word stories. The ones I shared earlier, they can be about anything, really. They can be the story of your life in 6 words. They can be this moment in your life and how you might reflect that in 6 words. You might have a reflection for another story sharer that comes in 6 words. I think Claire's is thank you for your nourishing food. Is that true, Claire? Is that your 6
No,
words?
that was my appreciation of people's feedback.
Oh, that's awesome. And it was 6 words. You just happen to be a very good rule follower. And then where is Andrea's 6 words? Cloudless blue wind, sun, Sacramento Delta. So describing her new home, it sounds like what she's doing. And then Boog, you had those your 6 words? Yeah. Mom squished banana all over me. I love it. I love it. I love it. And Anna Marie has a story of tonight. Sun is setting. I'll go outside. Yes, that sounds like the right move, girl. It really does. Leslie, blue tones are ringing softly today. Ooh, blue tones are ringing softly today. Ria, and really, it is so good. Sandra, had to get out of Texas. Yes. If you've heard other stories by Sandra, you will know she had to get out of Texas. It's just what has to happen sometimes. Katie Burke, I'm so excited. It's going to happen. Oh, that's a cliffhanger. What's going to happen? Can you write another 6 words about what's going to happen? No. Okay. Oh, Angie. Okay, here it is. New niece in time of woe. A beer, is that you? Hi. Oh, Aiden, she takes my breath away every day. Ria, my past, coming home to roost. Nice. You see, I'm still doing this. I do this with math as well, just so you know. It's really about the hands. The ones I shared earlier, my life right now, patterns unfold, no time for silence. And the reason I created story, deeply desiring connection. I made this. So keep putting your 6-word stories in the chat as they come up for you. Ooh, Erin, I listen and I'm in love. Yes, well done. Keep them coming. We're gonna play a game for those of you who are interested. We're going to do a little experiment like we like to do, and I'll give you the topic. If you have a little piece of paper, you can write it down if you'd like to. You don't need to, because I'm gonna also type it in the chat as well. And I will also type it once I put you into breakout rooms. So breakout rooms are really simple. Please don't be afeared. It is a functionality of Zoom where you don't have to do anything. And all of a sudden, you'll find yourself paired up with someone else in a one-on-one chat. If you don't want to participate in this, you don't have to. There's always some kind of technical snafu. So if you really don't want to participate, like you can proactively leave the room and then you'll come back to me and I'll be like in a room waiting for people to come back. So if you're like, oh, this is freaking me out, I don't like it, or something went wrong, just come back to the main room. Not a problem. So the topic for your breakout room to make things connected and curious is what does perfection mean to you? I've talked about perfection for the last few stories, and we've talked about how we're here in service of connection. So I want you to talk with your person that you get paired with about what perfection means to you, and maybe just do a quick little introduction. Say your name, say where you're located, and then just give a 1 minute, what does perfection mean to you? And then we'll switch, and I'll prompt you to switch. I will pause. Perfection equals death, exactly. But you know, someone else might have a different perspective on perfection. So, any questions about how this is going to work? You don't have to do anything. You'll end up in a room. It'll last for 4 minutes, 2 minutes per person. It's going to be super quick. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about how it felt and what you saw, what you noticed, and what the experience was like for you. Cool? Okay, here we go. Breakout rooms. We are going to, we're trying to do 2 participants per room. If you get in a room with 3 people, figure it out, make it work, or come back to me and we'll hang out. All right, here we go. Ready, set, break it out. All right, you should be able to join your breakout rooms now. Quinn, I think you're here with me. Is it true? But you're on mute. Welcome back. I inhaled a bug.
You did?
I did. Just a small one. How was it?
Well, I was on my own. Was that
No!
So I just wrote instead.
I love you. Good job. Perfection is Claire Hedden.
Ah, I
There you
wrote
go.
a sentence without any full stops.
Nice. Angie's back. I think what happened was Claire was in a room with you, but she didn't end up joining because I think she stepped away. So apologies for that. There's always one of those, but you made the most of it, girl. You made the most of it. Awesome. People are coming back. Angie and Rhea, I think you guys got put together. Is that true? Yes. Okay. Nicely done. Rhea's got the thumb up. I see it. It's working. I see that people are coming back. People are coming back. They're returning. I love it. All right. I think I'm hearing a sound. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. So this is Breakout Rooms. We don't do it every time. It's a thing. When I first started Story, I called it the great experiment of human connection. Every time we do something that's new and different and an experiment. So I would invite you to, I'm going to close all of these breakout rooms. There we go. I would invite you at this point, if anyone has what I maybe refer to as like a frame of your experience. Was there a moment that was of note to you? Was there something that happened that you really enjoyed? Was there something that the other person said that really resonated with you? Did you find yourself saying things that surprised you? So feel free at this point to we'll just share frames of that experience, what it was like for you. I'm also, as you know, so open to helpful feedback about how we could have done it differently or better next time. So I will do the same thing. Click that little yes if you want to speak on this topic of the breakout session that you just experienced. I will keep talking until I see a green check mark. Don't make me keep talking. Oh, Olga saves the day. All right, Olga, give me your thoughts, girl.
I was with Sandra and discovered something spontaneously that I have not connected to perfectionism before, and that I seem to experience perfectionism as like having an affair in my mind with the future ideal version of myself while abandoning this very precious human sitting in this chair now.
Well said. Yes, you're getting claps and waves, and yes, that made my heart flutter. Yeah, how much of ourselves do we abandon trying to be something and with something, and we're not always sure what that thing is, but it's not us. Not us. Katie Burke.
Hi.
Hi.
I was paired with Leslie, and I said, you know, I think perfectionism gets a bad rap sometimes. And I did pay attention to what you said, Molly, last time or a couple times ago about that you're learning that perfectionism is racist. And then someone said that in another group after you. And I've been kind of like exploring that and learning what that means. But perfectionism, like to me, that feels separate from this other piece of perfection, and maybe not, I don't know. But one thing I'm thinking about is I like to get things right. I like to strive. I like when I see a performance and it's just like, that could not have been more perfect. So I think what I don't like and what I think is unhealthy is the way we can beat ourselves up, and, you know, we can stop ourselves from starting and all those things. But there's a lot about it that I like. And I guess you could just call it like working hard and doing a good job. But to me, it's like, I feel like that word gets so demonized and I'm just not so sure about it.
I love that you brought that perspective here, because I think about craft and art and the idea that there is also perfection in imperfection. I'm a ceramic artist, and so when I think about striving for the form as an exercise, and it's not attainable, but the exercise itself, that you have something to strive for, and there's a beauty in that. So it is bigger than, it's not an absolute, but it's definitely, for me, opened up the way I judge myself for not ever attaining the thing that's unattainable, right? Thank you for that. Thank you. Sandra.
I just wanted to add a little bit to what Olga was saying, is that when she talked about having an affair with the woman in the future who doesn't exist, as opposed to loving the woman who exists now, I felt like it really further illuminated the story of the willow tree and the breeze. And it just made it so much deeper to hear her state it in that way.
Thank you. Mm. I'm seeing some emojis being used. Nice work, Ria. I'm liking it. I'm seeing cats getting involved. I'm seeing waving. I'm seeing a new participant join, and I'm feeling tender about, I don't know, here comes another rant, I think. I think it's time for another rant, but a nice rant. Eileen, is that you? Are you here? Did you make it?
I'm here. Hi, guys.
Yay! Hi, Eileen. Hi. Wendy got sick and she couldn't tell her story.
Oh, no.
I know. So we are just having like a really loose, few storyteller, sweet, tender, connected evening. And we just went into some breakout rooms and we talked about what perfectionism means to us and how that either stands in the way or helps us. And so we were just discussing that. And then I was about to give a rant on that topic. So here I go.
Yay. Thank you.
There's a part of me that feels like I should be delivering content to you. Does that topic make sense? Like when I say like, oh, we only had 3 storytellers and it's like I'm running a daycare center and I didn't create enough activities for the kids, right? And so I feel like it's in some way I have, even though my express mission is to connect, not to own this, but to hold space for connection, and that's exactly what we're doing, and experiment, exactly what we're doing, there still is this little teensy piece of me that's like, no. Somehow, because things didn't go the way you planned, you have missed something. So here's the thing. I'm going to say to that little part of me, I haven't missed anything. I got to sit outside with you guys tonight. I heard some beautiful stories. 2 stories that started once upon a time, which is very rare in these circles, indeed. I got to hear a story from Aiden, which was a surprise to me. We got to have some breakout rooms. And Eileen got to be here for 5 seconds. So I say success. Here's what I would like. What was that?
All the brilliance of the 6-word stories that emerged.
And the 6-word stories, those were so good. I really do enjoy those.
That's lots of stories. Many stories.
And Bart's amazing disco journey.
Oh, disco. Oh, disco. That tied it all together, right? That helped us see the theme that was already living inside of the Once Upon a Times. So, all right. Thank you for letting me talk that out. We could have a talent show. Katie Burke is suggesting that might be a way to take a next step here. Does anyone have a talent that they would like to share? I feel like Anna Marie might have a hidden talent up her sleeve. Her sleeves are very short, however, maybe she doesn't.
I'll share something beautiful.
Yeah, Bookie, share something beautiful.
Down the other room. It's quick.
We're going on a journey with Boog. Okay, I'm putting you on big view.
Well, it's not really anything to see.
What is it? I can't. Oh, what is this? I feel like, Boog, we can see it, but we can't hear it.
I heard it a little at the beginning.
Yeah, there was a beautiful tone.
You didn't hear it? Oh, I'm not playing anymore. That's all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Boog. What is it called, this instrument?
I always call it a hand pan, but it's, I forget. It can be called a hand pan. There's another name though for that one. I'll get back to you on that.
We may need to have you do a hand pan serenade at some point in the future. I think this could be like an intro number that you do.
Yeah, it can just be quick. Yeah.
Thanks, Boog. All right, any other talents or skills that people would like to share?
I thought of one. I can share one.
Yes!
I've been listening to, do people know Mike Birbiglia? He just launched a new podcast. So he does, instead of the fast round, he does the slow round. And one of the slow round questions is what can you do that people wouldn't know that you could do? And I can parallel park like you don't even know. Like I can get my car into like a spot that is like exactly the size of my car. Like it is, and I'm not talking about me doing like I can, it's a thing of beauty, but it is rarely witnessed by anyone other than myself.
I have to say that brag was so on point that it completely turned me on.
Well bragged.
Yeah, very well bragged.
Wow. I have something to say about that.
Okay, Rhea.
We could maybe have a little contest because I too can parallel park pretty well. And in San Francisco, where you know how parking is there, crazy bad. So once I saw a spot that had like 3 inches maybe on either side. And it did take about 20, 25 minutes, but easier than driving around in circles for like an hour looking for a spot. I made it. I did bump the back bumper just a tiny bit and somebody came running down to the street and was like, what are you doing? I'm just parking. I didn't, just tapped it lightly. But yeah, so we can have a little contest, whenever we're in San Francisco or
bring it.
Well, and because this is virtual, we could actually have you log into Zoom at the beginning of the next call and just, we'll do this. Maybe we could have masks. Some people who are in your area could have an external and internal view so we can see the actual cars. We could also see your approach and maybe some of the skills that you leverage. I'm into this. I'm totally into this.
And then maybe we might have to trade cars. First park your own car and then you have to park
someone else's car.
Because, that's a little excitement. Yeah.
It's on. All right. I have a request. What's up, Rhea?
I was like, I'm at my friends in Columbia, California, which is beautiful. And say beautiful, 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 beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful. Outhouse, beautiful. Pool, no way. I could fire up a chainsaw and cut down a tree in a dress. That's a talent.
That is a talent. In the meantime, while you're changing your costume and loading the chainsaw with, do they have fuel?
Costume.
I don't know. I thought there was a costume involved.
Gas.
Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Katie Burke.
You got to put additive in it.
Okay.
Just saying.
So Katie has written a book, and you may know that this book is a book that I've been reading to my mom at night. And it is stories of kids growing up in San Francisco, and it's called Urban Playground, and it's really delightful. And she's willing to read us a little bedtime story. So Katie, take it away.
Okay, so 2 of these fit in 5 minutes. So I'm going to do 2 stories that I think I have not read before here. So this one is from Alex, who's 8 years old. 8-year-old Alex's hero is her older sister. To Alex, a hero is someone trustworthy, mostly intelligent, and always there for Alex. Sometimes Alex and her sister compete over the TV and their dog Luna, short for lunatic. But when she is with her sister, Alex feels protected and safe. Alex says her sister is strong, confident, intelligent, and willing to sacrifice for others. Does Alex plan on following her sister's example in her own life? Yes, she says, except I follow more of an interest in writing, directing movies, writing books, and acting more than my sister does. Alex says she could be more like her sister if she became more intelligent, put herself into more acting, thought of comebacks to bullies, grew her hair, and got glasses. She appreciates having her sister to talk to when bad things happen. Asked whether bad things must happen for heroes to show up, Alex says, if there are no bad things happening in the world, then the world doesn't exist. There always has to be something bad happening. Homeless people, rude people, being broke, having not good eyesight, being mute, blind, deaf. So it's important to actually have problems because otherwise the earth wouldn't exist since there is always a problem in the world. Alex is like her hero in some ways. We both love to sing and act and write. We love doing art and we both love cats and dogs. Alex thinks she could be someone else's hero if she improved on her social interactions. Her friend group had some arguments and stopped playing together for a while, she says, but then we all got back together, so we weren't broken puzzle pieces anymore. Alex told one friend to stop being afraid of people who want to go on a date with someone of their same gender. Alex started a detective club at school. The group writes mysteries. She recently ran for president of the club and won. Alex does not think she is anyone's hero. She believes that if she were a hero, she would have an easier time making friends. Alex thinks it is important to have heroes around and says, there is a hero in every place, even if it's imaginary. She says heroes are sometimes in a bad mood and they show it by whining or slamming doors. Alex loves San Francisco for the variety of foods and smoothies at her favorite bakeries and bagel places. She is also a fan of San Francisco's dog parks, where she and her hero often take their loony dog. Okay, one more. This is from Willa, who's 9 years old. 9-year-old Willa lives in Bernal Heights with her mom and dad. She doesn't have any siblings. Willa admires Ava, the daughter of someone Willa's mom knows. Ava is in college. I think people that are older than me are wiser than me, Willa says. Ava is my hero because some people are just full of themselves when you're around them, but Ava acknowledges everyone in the room, Willa says. I'm a little bit full of myself sometimes, and I'm hoping to not be full of myself, she admits. I hosted a sleepover with a friend, and she is easygoing, and I took that to my advantage. Let's say there is a vanilla cupcake and a red velvet cupcake, and the friend says she doesn't care, but she wants the red velvet cupcake. So I say, I'll have the red velvet one, and I see her face droop, but she's like, okay, I'll have the vanilla. You can see I took advantage of her. It is different with Ava. She's easygoing too, Willa says, but no one takes advantage of her because she's so easygoing that people are like, I better cherish that. Willa says people who help others are also heroes, like her mom, who helps her with her homework. Willa has been a hero. Once I had on this pretty white dress, she says. We had a garden. I love this story. We had a garden. Molly knows where this is going, I think. We had a garden party, and my grandma. We'll see if I get through this. Okay, my grandma unboned the steak and put a plate of steak on a picnic bench. My dog started to chew a piece. I thought I thought there were bones in the steak and worried that they could get caught in his, his very small neck. So I get down on the grass and I stick my hand in his mouth, and a few minutes later I have to change because there's lots of swallowed meat on my dress. Willa says it's important for the world to have heroes, or else the world wouldn't be what it is, she says. They're not superheroes like, how does this go? Not superheroes like the Batman song. They're different kinds of heroes. I think the world is stable, but without those little deeds being done every day, maybe something wouldn't be here, like my dog wouldn't be here. Willa loves living in San Francisco because all her immediate neighbors' backyards are connected to hers without fences. These neighbors have kids, so she can easily play with her friends. San Francisco is diverse, she adds, and if it was medieval times and San Francisco was a city with walls, we could survive. We have everything we need in this city.
Oh, yeah. Living, I've never heard you read that story. I have read it, and that visual is quite something. Oh my God. And I love the way you've written this book so that these, I mean, you're a lawyer, you're a journalist, you are interviewing these individuals, not as children, but as people. And so it is very serious, their concerns, their life, their opinions, and it's so good. Yeah, I definitely recommend. It's a great gift for someone you know who lives in San Francisco, for someone you know who has kids. It's brought so much joy to our house. Thank you, Katie. I appreciate that. Oh man. All right. So, guess what time it is? It's time for me to go to bed. It's 10:30 on the East Coast. I'm in my mid-40s. Aaron Decker thinks I'm silly. Aaron Decker, what time do you go to bed? Come on, tell us.
Oh man, not before 11, girl, ever. Whoa.
Oh no, I froze. I totally froze.
We can still hear you.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Oh, it's so sad.
You
Molly,
froze because you're thinking of leaving us, and so your computer froze up because it doesn't want you to leave. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it.
It's a good theory, Rhea.
Chris, stop using all the language.
Molly's a little stunned.
That's a great picture of Molly.
It is.
Molly,
Yeah.
That could be the
Looking
picture
upwards
for
towards
storytelling. The story night.
Oh,
oh no.
oops.
There she is.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, who's going to host?
All right, Molly's in on my thread. Oh, what's up? There you go.
I'm so blind and your
You're not
phone's
gonna
so
hear it.
tiny. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
We can see and hear you.
Thanks.
Amir Majumdar.
Yeah.
I know, it's crazy.
You've muted yourself, Molly.
Now, Molly, you're on mute.
I just would like to apologize for this technical difficulty. This has been a wild night. I love you all dearly. Please show up again next time and volunteer to read your stories because this is what happens when you don't. I'm in the house on my husband's like very tiny phone. It's so small and I'm so blind that I can't even see what's happening. But I will say this. I bet Erin Decker stays up till midnight. I didn't hear.
She might.
But she might.
Never before 11, Molly. Never.
Mountain time.
Hey, Aaron, I'll be up. So call me.
We can't hear anybody. It's a free-for-all.
This is a mess.
It's
a
know,
mess.
I know.
It's a shit
We
show.
can't even hear you guys. Oh, God.
My love for you is great. My technology is not. I'm going to say au revoir, good night, sleep well, sweet dreams. That's it.
Story night, everyone.
Night, night.
Good night.
Yeah, that was great.
Night. Thank you.
Night.
Okay, who wants to talk? I'm not ready to go. I got on late. Angie.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh.
I'm gonna go
You
though.
stay up.
Oh,
Good.
I stay up, probably till like around midnight, but I'm gonna go because I'm on the East Coast. I still have to eat dinner.
Is that your husband, partner, best friend? Somebody wandered in off the street?
This is my husband.
Hello.
Hi, Ria. Nice to meet you.
You should join Storytime as well. It's great. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And yeah, I mean, if you guys, sometimes you want to do things separately, but this is great. This is a good thing to share.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
saying,
He's friends with Molly, actually. I just kind of got pulled in.
How did you, so is that how you got into Storytime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both lived in San Francisco.
I got in through Boog. Boog and I played rugby together like 40 years ago. And then we recently connected because they had a rugby reunion. And then she said, oh, you got to join Storytime. So I'm so grateful to her for that. So I'll let you go to bed. Otherwise, I would talk to you all night, which, and then morning. And it's beautiful here. The sunrise is lovely. So nice to meet you. And I look forward to seeing you next time.
You too. Enjoy.
And your husband.
Enjoy your time with your friends.
Okay, I am. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.